Hello, I'm Charlie Class. For the past several months, Michael Killen and I have been producing programs on the environment, on global warming. We've just really gotten going and getting into this, and we're going to do many more shows. And tonight is another one, and rather than have some other guests, he and I are going to talk about it. Michael, welcome to our program.
Thank you, Charlie. Good to see you again and to have your help.
Well, it's always fun
it's
fun to work with you. We've done this so many years now. One thing I want to talk about immediately is a very special display at the City Hall at Palo Alto. And so we're going to look at some pictures of what you have there. And here they are. So these are basically posters. We're just going to kind of have a quick look at different things. And that's the end of the show. And then this is an original now.
Oh, yes. This is a 6-foot by 4-foot painting I made called End of Species. And a lot of people want to call it the Ark, like Noah's Ark. But this is the Ark where all the species get on and go for the last boat ride.
Oh, wow. Okay, I think we have one more. Here we are. Now, what's this one?
This one is, God, I made this painting, and it is oil.
Okay.
Oh, I forgot what it is, to be honest.
Well, that's okay, but the point is you're turning them out so much lately. Yeah, one thing is this show started in September, and it's going to end in October. I think you said this on the last show, so we should take a look at the dates of the show. Yeah. And here it is, and you see that ending date, October 29th? Guess what? It's been extended by popular demand to November 13th.
Yes, and first of all, I want to thank the mayor of Palo Alto for taking the initiative to open our show, Climate Change, in his city hall. And then I have to thank him and Carol Harrington and other people in Palo Alto who extended it through 13th. And then I'm just amazed. I should say it's just wonderful. I shouldn't be amazed. But they have told me when this batch of art leaves, the same day they want me to put more of my art in the city hall.
Well, now you hadn't told me that. Wow, this is folks, this is the latest news. You can't be any more up to date than that. Now, one of the things that we saw, the first one, we saw 2 originals, but we saw posters on the first one. What are the posters all about?
Well, I think of the posters as missionaries. You know, they're not very expensive. And let's say a venture capitalist or a member of a city government or just anyone, you or I, we make a donation and we get one. And then we can put these missionaries in our office, in our home. And when somebody comes into our office, you know, they just got to say, that poster, it has the words on it, climate change for the wealthy. What's that all about?
Okay.
And this gives the person who owns the poster an opportunity to have a discussion with somebody. And that can be one more effort to help inspire, inform the U.S. population that climate change is something we really all need to understand and do something about.
You know, when you said missionary, I thought that's a very interesting word. It could be an original print, but a poster, of course, would be even less cost than original print. And not everyone can have original prints, or, well, they could certainly make those, but originals, one of a kind. So this presents an opportunity for people who want to have this, able to have it, and for their own use and to educate themselves and other people.
Sure, so I'm delighted that the city of Palo Alto has one room set aside for 4 of the posters, and I'm just delighted.
Well, that's great. Now there's another big show coming up in October, I believe, pretty soon.
Well, when the show ends on the 13th,
okay,
in the City Hall of Palo Alto, it's torn down, the art is put in a truck, and it's driven over the Santa Cruz Mountains and in the afternoon it's hung in a gallery museum in Half Moon Bay. And the show in Half Moon Bay runs from November the 14th to, I think, December the 20th. So we're in a situation where we have a back-to-back show.
In fact, that's fascinating, because let's talk a little bit about what's happening in Half Moon Bay. We did this a number of months ago, but let's bring people up to date.
When the head of the Chamber of Commerce and the mayor learned that Arabella Decker and our art exhibition, Climate Change, would open on November the 14th, those two important women of the city decided that this created an opportunity for them to declare the Half Moon Bay District Environmental Awareness Month. And by making that declaration and telling all the merchants and other folks and putting flags up on the telephone poles, Environmental Awareness Month, Arabella and I feel good because we have influenced a whole community to start thinking about the need to think about the environment.
Now, I understand that many of the businessmen and the stores are going to have displays of one type or another supporting what this whole...
Yes, posters saying, go see the event, and some things that they themselves are doing to help keep and make the area even more green and environmentally friendly.
Do you suppose you're on a roll? You'll go from Half Moon Bay to someplace else, perhaps?
Oh, I think you're being really... Well, NASA in May is opening up the most green, sustainable, energy-efficient building in the entire federal system. And that building might also be the most energy-efficient building in the United States and maybe the world. I mean, I'm sure somebody has a building with sod and everything. That's a little house, or, but this is a real building, a real important building, and it will be the showcase of the nation. It'll be the showcase for NASA. And I say it is the most tangible, concrete step the United States has taken to demonstrate to the population what sustainability means and why it is important. Before this, all we've had is a lot of rhetoric and a lot of grassroots little projects where folks were trying to conserve something or another. And now this is a big building which will be the icon of the United States, and it will bring the word sustainability to the forefront of many people's thinking. And when that happens, other buildings are going to be built that are really sustainable, and it's just not going to be buildings that are built, but it's going to have an influence in human behavior in many, many different areas. And I praise the NASA people, and I'm delighted that they have come to me and said they want to have a discussion immediately about climate change, my art exhibition, opening in their building when the cabinet members, probably the governor, are there on opening day.
That's fantastic. In previous times, past years and so forth, models have been put up, small buildings. That's basically what you've been talking about. We had a discussion recently about if you had put forward your artwork 3 years ago, 5 years ago, it's very difficult to measure. The question is, how would it have been accepted then? Now it's just taken straight across the board.
Well, but there's two factors. 4 years ago, I did not know how to.
Well, you weren't even, you couldn't hold a brush that far back. Okay.
That's right. And secondly, 4 years ago, the words such as global warming or climate change, some people used it 30, 40 years ago, but that was strictly in the academic area, the scientific area. And 4 years ago, it was just starting to become part of the lexicon of people. And I would say interest in climate change, my art exhibition, would have been much less than it is now. Now it's what when NASA comes talking to you, I mean, that's like, you could take the painting, roll it up, and sort of think of it being shot up and orbiting
Yeah,
the Earth. I mean,
exactly.
that's a great organization.
So it's these activities that have taken hold. Before you mentioned something about it used to be rhetoric. Now it's for real. Things are really happening.
Yes, things are happening, and I think NASA's step is probably the most important concrete step. There is no federal legislation, new legislation on energy management. There's no cap and trade. There's really nothing. But this building demonstrates something very significant. And about things happening, yes, like for me, things are happening. I'm able to help with the art exhibition, but the United States is stuck when it comes to climate change.
Okay, we've got to take that one apart now. That's a big, big statement. By stuck, you mean not moving ahead on dead center?
That means if you took all 320 or 30 million people in the United States and you were to ask them what climate change meant to them, their children, their family, their community, to the entire nation, the world, relatively speaking, you'd only find a few people who can say what climate change is and what impact it may have on us. And I can say, in the extreme, and I would say the reason we have NASA all of a sudden stepping up its efforts, I mean, they're still looking in outer space, but now they're looking down at the status and developments of this planet, because many of the life support systems on this planet are now threatened. Okay, it's a serious situation. And if we just look at the United States, again in the extreme, if the climate keeps changing very, very quickly, let's take California. Much of California relies on the Colorado River and the snow melt from the Sierras. And if the Sierras don't hold the snow and the water comes down at the wrong time, the great San Joaquin Valley that provides the world so much food, and you and I, will not be providing so much food. And if the Colorado River dries up or doesn't have as much water, oh my God, Arizona, New Mexico, Los Angeles,
it's not just food, the power, everything. Those are some of the great dams of the world.
So, on the extreme, it could mean climate change could lead to the collapse of civilizations.
Oh, no, come on, Michael, that's going too far now.
There's a book by Jared Diamond. I think he got a Pulitzer for it. It's called Collapse. And he wrote this book several years ago because he sensed that there are civilizations now possibly moving toward a collapse. And I'm not saying the United States, but what he's done is he has shown the different islands and nations, like the Mayan Empire and others, that during their day, the people said, our empire could never collapse. And he demonstrated how they have done things. In some cases, they just chopped down all the trees or done something else, and all this floods or whatever. He wrote that book because he sensed we, as people of this planet, are moving to a place where we're running out of oil. The climate is changing faster and faster, and a lot of the birds and the bugs and whatever